Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. Welcome to another mid-year checkup. I've done them every year since I've started, I want to say so. So if you're interested in these, I will also link them down below if I remember. But it is that time of the year basically. It's time for us to take stock of what's happened so far and who's in the lead of becoming the best book of 2022. I believe I've read 24 books so far, so it's going okay. I am halfway to my book goal, almost, but hopefully the second half is gonna be, I don't know, you know what, I'm not gonna even say it, we'll see. And my best months were April and June. I'm very excited for the June vlog. You might have already seen it. Quickly, just before we get spinning, I want to talk about today's sponsor, and that is of course Book of the Month. If you don't know, Book of the Month is a US-based book subscription box. They carefully curate a book selection every month for you from 5 to 7 titles where you get to pick one to be delivered right to your door. They have a very easy skip policy if you ever want to skip a box, in addition to their add-on feature where you can order more books to come with your delivery, which is very handy. Very recently they have also launched their own podcast, which is very exciting. It's called The Virtual Book Tour. I think it already has 9 episodes, and that includes interviews with authors that are hosted by the editorial team of the Book of the Month themselves. You can follow them and listen to them both on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I will link the subscription and also the podcast down below. I actually got to pick my selection this time. These were the selections for July. If you've been following me for a while, you know that this is absolutely on my list. It's my most anticipated release of the year. So when I tell you I'm so excited for this, and when I saw it on the list, it was a no-brainer. And then the second one I picked was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which is a fun romance. If you live in the US and you would like to give Book of the Month a go, you can click the link down below in my description bar, as well as use my code bookroast to get yourself your first book for $9.99. As always, thank you so much to Book of the Month for working with me and supporting this channel and giving my viewers good deals. The tag has specific questions, so let's get started with those. So the first question is the one that everyone cares probably the most about. I know I do. And that is best book so far. And I think maybe for the first year ever, it's actually not a novel, it's a graphic novel. And that is Day Tripper, the book that I've put off reading for so long. And then when I actually did, it proved to be literally spectacular. This is about an aspiring writer who's kind of struggling with his family, identity, life. And it's a little bit of a speculative, trippy story with a lot of alternate realities, and we follow him through all of them. The artwork is stunning. It has this kind of old feel to it, a little bit vintage. The story is beautiful, it's thought-provoking, but at the same time quite easy to consume, and it's fairly emotional as well. I would just highly recommend this book to everyone. Even if you don't like comics, I feel like give it a go. And so far it's really going strong for becoming the best book of the year, so we'll see by the end if anything tops it. But I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I keep pushing this book to everyone, so here's just me doing a little bit more of that. The next question was actually very hard because it is the best sequel, and apparently I think I haven't read that many sequels at all. There's one that is featured later in a different category, so I'm not gonna repeat it. That would technically count as a sequel, however, it's also not a sequel. But the one that I picked for this category is literally the only other viable option, and it is questionable because it's literally a second part of the same book that is printed as one book in different countries or in a hardback. But you know what, we'll count it. I put them in separately, they're chunkers on their own, so we're just gonna go with Way of Kings Part 2, which I know is not a sequel. I know it. You don't have to fill in the comments. I'm aware. It's fine. It's fine. We're counting it. Because if not that, I genuinely don't have an answer. Apparently this year so far has not been for sequels, but I'm kind of working on it, or I will hopefully work on it at some point this year. For a new release that I have not read yet, but it is out in the first half of the year, is how I think of this question. I guess Shara Wheeler, and mainly it's because it's combining queer romance with a thriller aspect, and I'm really excited about that. This is actually kind of a theme with me. I am only ever really excited about one release per year. I have one book per year that I'm super excited about. This has been a trend in my life, and it's quite sad, and it's kind of high stakes situation, but that is released in the second half of the year, so it will be, I think, the next question. But for this, I just picked this one. It's honestly nothing super special, and I will be completely fine if this doesn't pan out and it's not great. But I have read one book by this author before and enjoyed it enough, but this one appeals to me more because it's a girl-girl situation. I think the premise is basically that the main character kisses a girl and then the girl disappears, and we're retracing the steps, and we're just trying to find her from what I understand. And here we go, the most anticipated book in the second half, and I so happen to have just gotten it. Upgrade by Blake Crouch. Blake Crouch is one of my favorite authors. I loved both Dark Matter and Recursion. They really changed my experience as a reader because I finally found something that truly feels like home. A techno thriller, sci-fi elements, suspense, speculation, all things I live for. I would really be doing a better job if I filmed this after I've read it, but I haven't yet. But I am adamant to go into this without knowing too much about it, because I do think with these kind of books, you're really risking revealing a little bit too much in a synopsis, and I just don't trust publishing, okay? I just don't trust them with this single book that I'm excited for. If there were multiple for me to play with, fair. But this is one chance. This is the one chance. So I'm really excited, so hyped, slightly scared, of course. We already touched upon why. But I'm excited, so hopefully this pans out. The biggest disappointment, and no one is more surprised to see this author in this category than myself. And honestly, I could have featured 2 books for this from the same author. So the first one would be The Psalm for the Wild Build. And then the second one is A Record of a Spaceborne Few. Don't get me wrong, this book wasn't bad. I was really struggling to get into it. It did get much better towards the end. However, for an author that was also one of my favorite authors, it was really disappointing, and obviously is the category. I just felt so let down, but I still have really high hopes for the 4th book in the series. So this was technically the only sequel that I've read, but they also are standalones. They're just kind of tied in a series as well. So there's slight overlap, but you can read them separately as well, so it's a bit tricky. So this one's the 3rd one, and the last one is the 4th one, and I still am to read that one, and I'm really excited for it. And I have read 3 other books by them, and I absolutely adore them. The 4th in the series is going to be very important because I will need to see if this author still can count as my favorite author or not. Hopefully yes, that's hopefully a yes. So again, 3.5, by no means a bad rating, is just for the expectation level, it was here. And what I got was like here. Next is a surprising read. The book that really surprised me was Pet. And it's not like I actually expected to dislike it, but it does fall into a middle grade category, which I genuinely really did not have the best experience with. I just always found they're just okay for me. This one though, I really enjoyed. I gave it 5 stars. I think it was like just 5 stars, but it still got 5 stars, which is very rare. I think it deals with such a heavy topic, but it brings it together so beautifully and uniquely. I really enjoyed the setting and our pet. But this is set in a world where, you know, no crime exists. Everything is a literal utopia, until a monster manifests, and monsters are supposed to be extinct, and if they are there in this town, it means that something is amiss and you're trying to find what's happening. And it was good. Favorite new author was actually quite difficult. If I were not to repeat the books and not mention Day Tripper, I probably would actually go with Lore Olympus. And this is tricky because I wouldn't say this is my new favorite author. I wouldn't list it in a list of favorite authors, but I will say that it really hooked me up. So once I was done with this volume, I went right onto the webtoon and continued until I was caught up, and I did that all in one day, and there's over like 900 episodes, so it did stuff, you know. And this is a webtoon that got published later on physically, and it's a Hades and Persephone retelling, and as such obviously has the themes of it. It was very addictive, let's just say. The new fictional crush is always the question that trips me up because I don't have crushes. I don't really crush. But I will say that when I first started reading of Reina from Atlas 6, I was quite charmed. I really wanted her chapters to come sooner. I do think she got kind of lost throughout the book. She wasn't as exciting to me later on. I think she just kind of took a backseat a bit, which I'm really hoping in the second book is gonna come back to the front. But the Atlas 6 was another quite like a good book that I've read this year and enjoyed. It follows 6 people who are selected to the secret society, and only 5 can qualify to proceed. And all of these characters are full of flaws, and they really have like a love-hate relationship between each and every one of them. So it was fun and chaotic. I had a good time, and as I said, Reina was really someone who charmed me at the beginning, and I was really sad that we kind of lost her personality a bit, or she was just not as prominent throughout the story. So I really hope that the second fixes that. For the favorite characters, so I'm just gonna go with like a not a very serious answer. I'm gonna say Hades dogs, because Hades dogs. For a book that made me cry, I don't think I did. But if anything would have made me cry is Day Tripper, pretty sure. A book that made me happy was actually a short story called Summer Frost by none other than Blake Crouch. And that was because it came at a time where I was semi-slumping in between reads, and when I read that, I became alive. And it's all about this AI that it developed itself from a video game, and then is being studied. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a very short story, so I don't want to say too much, but it was just like going home, and that's why I'm so excited about Upgrade, because it's just, I just love it so much. The most beautiful books I have acquired, I think that might be the Diviner set. First of all, it's so shiny. I love this Art Deco design. This is a Fairy Loot edition. They have block black sprayed edges, which I think complements the set so well because everything else is so busy. And they look so beautiful together. This is another one that I've not read yet, but also one of the older series, like very few older series that I do want to try. This is how the other ones look like. And I mean, the amount of foil, you guys know me, anything shiny, get also super pretty design-wise is just, you know, like I love it. I just think they look extremely classy, beautiful on the shelves, super inviting, and so like, I don't know, Great Gatsby. And then for the books that I want to still read by the end of the year, honestly, I'm keeping it fairly loose. I love to have some fun projects like the June one, and, you know, my friends make me read books. I love that, and with those you can't really plan too much ahead, and with TB Avatar similarly, but obviously the one that is 100% gonna be read in this year unless I die is this. And that is everything. Let me know what is the top anticipated read of yours of the whole year. I'm gonna make you pick one, please. I would love to check it out. So make sure to leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll do a video where I read your most anticipated book. So please leave it in the comments. And I would also like to say a massive thank you to the new Patreons who either have just joined or upgraded their tiers to the last 2. Ashley, Isabel, Augusto, Shravani, Karen, Francesca, and Ranchler. I could have definitely butchered that one, I'm really sorry, but I'm really excited to have more chats with you guys, and I will see you over on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for everyone watching this video. Hope you're having a good month. So again, like, leave those suggestions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!